I'd say roughly 100, maybe 150 hours.
It's easily over 30 hours, probably closer to like 50 hours or so.
Probably upwards of around 500 hours maybe as a squad lead.
400 or so, give or take 50.
Probably around 200 or 300.
Probably around 500.
Around maybe 100 hours as a squad lead.
My 1,500 hours played, I'd say about 1,200 to 1,300 of those hours.
Yeah, there's usually a lot of combat, but depending on the map, it's a little different.
I try to get the guys into, a point that'll have as much combat as possible.
If you have your squad on a relevant cap point, one that you're supposed to be defending or taking, then you are guaranteed to get combat.
If I choose to be in combat, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of combat. You're not supposed to be the most forward player, but sometimes you are.
Definitely. I like to kind of lead from the front. I die a lot squad leading.
Combat, it can be hectic. It can also be really slow at times.
2 AT and 1 Grenadier.
I always love to have 2 AT.
Both medics, both anti-tank, and preferably a Grenadier.
It all depends on what we're playing.
Only 2 medics.
Definitely AT, depending on... Unless I'm American or Russian against an insurgent.
All the ATs and all the medics filled out.
I'll take as many ATs as I can. Heavy ATs, scout.
And we got hacked. Corn, you evil person.
Anytime you play against Americans, you need 2 AT. I mean, there's nothing about it.
Sometimes if you're US, you don't really need AT because shooting militia off techies is pretty easy.
It doesn't really matter what team I'm on. I always want the same role selected, medics and anti-tank.
If we're playing insurgents, then we don't really need, 2 lats and so. So we're on insurgents and we're playing the US, then we definitely need 2 lats.
If you're on the insurgents, then you need someone with a scout, like insurgents or militia.
If you're an insurgent or militia team and you're playing against the US or Russian, you want that AT.
Say if you're the Russian team or US team fighting against like militia or the insurgents, you're usually allowed to be more flexible.
Teams like militia and INS, I'd even say kind of the Russian team. I try to keep them in that kind of close to medium range where they can kind of hole up in buildings.
Just general things, having people positioned for a city, someone watching a vantage point like a hill or something, rally points, all that stuff I try and micromanage.
You have to kind of micromanage the kits. You have to make sure you have 2 medics most of the time because sometimes, a medic will leave the squad or they'll get bored and they'll switch out. You do also have to micromanage like kind of where your AT is.
If everyone's looking in the same direction, stuff like that, I have to make sure that people have a perimeter set up. Because if you get attacked from a direction you're not looking, they're gonna wipe you even with like a couple rifles.
Just saying like, hey, we need medics, we need lats, or we need somebody to go over here and put a vehicle here, put a logi here.
Depending on how confident other squad leaders are, if they like jump in and straight away say, all right, I got a plan to do this, then I'll be like, all right, great. And then I'll adapt my plan around that.
Unless I really know and trust the person, is my vehicle placement.
I'd say sometimes it's positioning my like optics and AT.
Local squad and command communication channels are probably the majority of the work.
Most definitely. I think that would take so much off. The problem is you have to trust your fire team lead enough to do what you expect.
There's no clear cut. But if we have, say, fire teams, we get a red team and a blue team in each squad, I can say, hey, red team, I want you on the south side of the road. Blue team, I want you on the north side of the road. And I can have them push up like that.
I would absolutely love that.
There's something where I can communicate with the other fire team leader directly and say, hey, I need you to go this way. We're going this way. It would be a lot easier, definitely.
I think it'd be nice to be able to like appoint it at times. Like sometimes you have the full squad together and like you only want one person at the top and everyone following like one plan. But other times, it's especially if you want to leave behind like a small force, like say you attack a point, but suddenly it becomes uncapturable.
They'd be nice, but not something I really need.
Like, it'd be good to have, but how would they implement it? Would it just be like a special badge the squad lead gives to a certain person who has any kit? Would it get like a kit of its own?
I think this would take a lot of work off the SL, dictating who should go where and who should do what. He can just kind of tell the fire team leader to do something, and that fire team leader can manage that order at the ground level.
I find it to be very specific to each map and certain points. Points like on Gorodok Shipping Yard, I like to put the radio on the point.
I try to get a FOB as close to the objective as I can. If it's a defense objective, I try to have it directly on the objective so that I can fortify it and defend the point as best as I can.
I usually find myself placing FOBs and HABs right on the point just to make sure that I get my entire team on the point and then I have them spread out. But I have heard other arguments where you want to have FOBs outside the cap points on the peripherals.
Sometimes I'll stick it right in the middle of the point if the point's big enough. If we're not going to get flanked, then I'll stick it somewhere where I think we're not going to get flanked.
It depends on the point. Like some points are definitely best fobbed on, like Palace and Fortress. Like if you rush Fortress, you need a fob on top of that.
I think you can definitely win with your FOB and HAB on the point. But if you feel really comfortable with your area and you have a good feeling you won't get flanked, then a FOB off the point just to your rear where you're pretty sure there will be no enemies is probably a little bit better.
Oh, that depends on the objective. Usually with small points, you never want to put the FOB or the rally on it unless it's a choke point. Choke points, you always want to try to get a FOB on it if you can, just so you can make it harder for the enemy team to take.
This whole video was filmed on USA Legacy, definitely a server worth checking out. All the players in this video, including myself, play there. Legacy does one life ops and basic trainings, and there will be a video on those things. Hopefully this video was educational and entertaining. If you liked it, you can stick around for part 2.